Welcome to the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, where we bring you a weekly dose of powerlifting news, tips, and training advice with a touch of 80s rock ballads. This podcast is presented by Team Rohr Powerlifting, your source of the most comprehensive coaching and meet day preparation. Here are your hosts, Josh Rohr and Laura Sturm.
Welcome to episode 127. What's with that? Hi, Josh Rohr. How are you?
I'm good. We had a fun weekend. By we, I mean me and a lot of other people. My 40th birthday was Saturday. So we kind of had an all-day palooza per se. We started out by Hope, Emma, and myself went to breakfast in the morning. And then we went over to the Special Olympics powerlifting meet and introduced Emma to powerlifting. We showed up just in time for deadlifts to start, which was perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. So she had little headphones on to keep the noise out so she could be around the noise and everything. And Hope snapped a pretty good picture of me holding her like beside one of the platforms as somebody was deadlifting. It was pretty awesome. And she had a Team Rohr shirt on. So when we ordered our competition t-shirts, we ordered a couple baby sizes, and she's just now big enough to fit into them. So she wore one of the comp tees. That was pretty cool. Nice. And then after that, we went to lunch. A couple people met us for lunch in Marietta, close to the meet. And then we went down to the belt line and basically went bar to bar, just having a drink here and there. I finished the night with a total of 2 drinks. There was a couple places I drank water instead, because let's be honest, I'm getting up there.
Yeah, because you're 40 now.
And it's not uncommon that I have half a glass of wine with dinner and wake up with a little bit of a headache. So, wow. I paced myself a little bit. So we went there for a couple hours, just kind of hopping bar to bar along the belt line, and then went back to my house after that, like at 9 o'clock or something like that, and started a bonfire, and some people came over for that. So it was kind of cool because there was a few people that did multiple places, but for the most part, each different place had different people. So it was kind of cool just having getting to see a bunch of different people, and nobody felt obligated to hang out with me the whole time.
Except for your wife?
Yeah, well, even she left after the bonfire.
You didn't go bar hopping with the baby?
Yeah, we did.
No. Oh, okay.
So
Normal?
Yeah, we did. We did. We took the baby to the bar. You know what? So what? Don't judge me.
First powerlifting meet, first bar.
It wasn't her first bar. She's already been to the bar before.
Okay.
But anyway, but yeah, after, about 11 o'clock, Hope took Emma to bed. So, but it was great. It was a fun all day, kind of just crazy. And so I decided that I wanted to plan my own birthday. I didn't want anybody else to do it. But what I wanted to do was kind of leave everything semi-flexible. So if I felt like doing something else, then that was the plan, and we were going to do something else. So I didn't want to have anything like set in stone. So I made a Google Doc that people could just like follow along. And like, as soon as I decided what I was doing, I put it in the Google Doc. So if anybody was joining at any point, like check the Google Doc first, so you knew when and where we were going. It worked out pretty well. Once I got a little bit ahead, because in the morning, like when we were going to lunch, the initial plan was lunch TBD at like 1:30 or something like that. Well, people were texting me at like 1:05, like, hey, where are we going for lunch? Like, and I guess I didn't think much of that, because I was just thinking it would be people coming from the powerlifting meet right next door to somewhere in Marietta for lunch. But people were driving from like Duluth and other places, and were like on the road wanting to know where exactly they're going. So I decided to give a little bit more notice for future details. The rest of the day. Yeah.
Did you live stream it?
No. So I wanted to, but then I was thinking, like, I tend to overdo it sometimes with these things. So I would have ended up like worried about the stream quality and all these things instead of just enjoying my birthday. So we even had a Zoom set up for the whole time so people could get on Zoom and join, but I never took the initiative to actually join Zoom myself. So people may have joined, but we never had it on with the main group. So kind of a fail there, but it was fun. How was your weekend?
It was good. I was down in Florida. I
Sweet.
went to the beach at one point, wanted to fly a kite. I'm into flying stunt kites. So they have, two strings and you can make them do like dive bombs or loop de loops, but there was no wind. Like how often do you go to the beach and there's actually no wind?
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Did you zero wind?
Zero wind. Couldn't launch a kite. No water. Oh, not gonna happen. So bummer. But
yeah.
But hey, I got a little sunshine on my face, and that's all that really mattered. Powerlifting world, what's going on? Other than Emma got to see her first powerlifting meet.
Yeah, I mean that's what's going on in my powerlifting world.
A lot.
So she hit a PR set of 15 on squats, by the way. Emma did.
Emma did, yeah, 15 squats in a row.
So that's actually being serious. So she can't stand on her own and she doesn't crawl yet. But if I stick out my fingers, she'll grab them and like pull herself up and like stand and balance with them. And she's picked up on the fact that if I say squat, it means squat down. So we've been doing like 1 to 2 sets of 5 to 10 reps pretty much every day, every other day. The day before my birthday, or was it on my birthday? No, it was the day before my birthday. She did a set of 15 and it was a PR.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And she's got really good technique too. So we're going to try to keep that up till adulthood.
On command, she squats, which is
she does.
Funny.
So it's funny because like I was trying to show everybody, I'm like, look, she does it. And every time I said squat, she just would stand there and not do anything. I'm like, this kid knows exactly what she's doing. She's making me look like a fool right now. But when nobody's around, she does it.
Yep.
I have
what she'll be doing for the rest of her life. So.
I do have proof because I did video it at one point, but like everybody's like, yeah, right. Sure. She does. I'm like, no, I'm serious.
That's awesome.
So yeah. So she hit a set of 15. So
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you're hoping that powerlifting will be in her future?
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
She seemed to be pretty entertained by it. She came down to the basement tonight and watched a little bit of lifting. Lee and Joe were here training, and she was watching the lifting, so it was pretty good.
Yeah, right. So she'll be growing up with this kind of just being in her, norm.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Like that's cool. My goal is to make it just the norm for her.
Right, and keeping that mobility.
Yep, definitely.
I squatted tonight a little bit. Those knee sleeves that Inzer makes that you can actually like Velcro tighter.
Yeah,
you can like slip them on. I found those in my old gym bag, and I was like, oh, I want to try these. And I was like, where have these been all my life? They're like really loose knee sleeves feeling. They're not knee sleeves, knee wraps.
Loose knee wrap feeling that you don't have to like take a whole lot of energy to wrap yourself.
Yeah. And just to get my regular neoprene knee sleeves on, I have to like, wrestle with them enough, especially this time of year because I'm not going out there in shorts because it's cold. So those are just easy to get on, tighten them up, loosen them up in between sets. I'm like, I like this. So I might have to squat more often because it just kind of took an obstacle out of the way. Like that's the problem with squats and me. Like I feel like I need my squat shoes and I got to have my knee sleeves and then next thing you know, I'm wanting to put on bottoms and I'm like, no, this is just easy. Didn't have to change my shoes, nothing. Just put those on. It's great. So in the power ballad world, we have a new top 5 coming up, driving songs. I was thinking about this as I was driving to Florida this weekend. So
yeah, I bet you probably that's like doing research when you drive to Florida and like, exactly. What do you listen to?
Yeah. So 6.5 hours of research each way.
Yeah. So I said that I was going to post the link in the bio of the PL Ballads Instagram account. before the episode published on Wednesday. And I thought I did because I put it in there and I hit save, but apparently there's a second save you got to hit when you're doing those little link tree type things. So it didn't save. So people were making comments like, hey, why, where's the link at? I'm like, I put it in there. And they're like, it's not in there. So I checked and sure enough, it wasn't in there. So I did put it in there Friday afternoon. So it was a couple days later, but it is in there now and you have till February 14th. So
Okay.
submit that.
February 14th, and we're going to be voting anonymously, which I like. That,
Yeah.
you know,
that way we have a chance.
Yes, that way we have a chance because my lists are the best. I may not be the most popular person or know the most 12-year-olds on Instagram that can recruit their other 12-year-old friends. Chris.
You really are holding a grudge on that. You just can't let that go. That was a long time ago.
Years, but sure, I should have won. All right. But anyway, so we're going to move on to the powerlifting situation. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Here's the situation. You're lifting a meet that you had to travel a good ways to, and you made a week-long trip out of it. Your best friend joins you on the trip so you can go sightseeing after the meet. And the night before the meet, she is snoring non-stop and you cannot sleep. And you know that if you don't sleep, your lifting will be affected. What do you do?
Kick her out of the room. I mean, that's not even a question to me. Like, get the hell out of the room.
But like, she doesn't have any place to go.
I know that may very well end our friendship, but you know what? You're out. No, I would not do that. But I would plan for that if you can. So, you know, I usually try to bring like noise canceling headphones or something so I can play white noise on my headphones and kind of block stuff out. You know, if you don't have that, I would probably go to a store and buy some noise canceling headphones or something to play. And then if you're in like a remote location where that's not an option, yeah, I don't know. That reminds me of, well, I finished answering this first though. Yeah, I would figure out some way to play white noise and block some of that out.
Yeah. So this actually happened to me in Mongolia. And I was reminded of it because this last weekend.
Hold on. Were you the one snoring or was
not this time?
Not this time. Okay.
What? Not this time.
Are you going to say who was snoring?
My sister. My sister had joined me on the trip and she can snore, but usually not that bad. But that night she was snoring so bad it was almost comical. And I had to wake her up and be like, for the love of God, I don't know what you need to do. Maybe you just stay up. I don't know. But I have to sleep and you're snoring so bad. Like, stop.
As you're saying this, it's like I'm getting like a little tick because that sounds like word for word what Hope tells me like multiple times a week. Sorry, continue your story.
Yeah. But then, you know, there have been times where I used to room with Laura Stryland every time that we went to a world meet. And I told her, like, hey, if I snore, just kick me. And I didn't literally kick me, but that's what ended up happening.
But she kicked the shit out of me.
She kicked me. Like, there was one time, like, I woke up after being struck, like, and I was just like, what just happened? I think she kicked me. Did you just kick me? but you know, then I look over at her and she sleeps in like this big pile of pillows and stuff. So it didn't look like she had moved. And I was just like, oh, I think I just like dreamt that. That was weird. And I went back to sleep. And 10 minutes later, whack. Like, oh, I guess I'm snoring really bad. Yeah. She will kick the shit out of you.
Awesome.
Yeah, that happened more than once. And then I talked to her the next night.
More than once with her, with Laura?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think pretty much on every trip where we roomed, she ended up striking me at one point with a pillow or herself.
I love the word striking. She ended up striking me.
She assaulted me. But I told her to, so it's okay. It's fine. Does she listen to this? We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
I miss Laura.
Yeah.
So what do you got for a new lifter tip, Josh?
So leg drive for bench. We're going to try to explain it and explain the same thing in multiple different ways, because I think sometimes that's what it takes for it to click with what we're trying to say. So in general, What we mean by leg drive is pushing with your legs, but we'll stop there for a second, because what most people think we mean by that is pushing your feet down into the floor real hard, which ends up raising your butt off the bench. And that's not what we're trying to do. What we mean by leg drive is almost like you're pushing your feet in the direction of your toes, like you're trying to push your toes through the front of your shoes. Another way to think about that is you're trying to push your body in the direction of your head towards the wall behind you. And the idea is that as your body pushes back in the direction of your head, the friction on the bench pulls your shoulders down under the kind of pulls your shoulders down and back, which helps keep your chest high. So another way to think about it is if you're laying on the bench, think about what it means to do a leg extension. So you're literally, if you were going to lay on the bench and do a leg extension, your feet would be going forward in the direction that your toes are pointed. And that's the, I guess, engagement that you're trying to get primarily with leg drive. There's more to it, but we're trying to break it down and keep it basic, simple. And the idea too is you want to always maintain tension. A lot of people get tension with their legs before they start down, and then they let it go on the way down. And then when they start to press the bar back up, they engage again. And that's a lot of times where the butt pops off the bench. The idea is you want to maintain tension the whole time, never letting it go. You can still push harder as you start to press up, but the idea is never letting off the gas pedal with the legs. So a good way to practice that would be if you lay on the bench, for example, and have somebody like they're going to lift off for you, but instead of lifting off, they reach down and put their hands on your shoulders and tell you to like slide into their hands in the direction of your head. And they are not letting you slide, but you push hard into them and hold that for like 10 seconds. Like you're pushing as hard as you can and they're not letting you slide. That's the kind of leg drive that you actually want to have during bench. If you do that for 10 seconds, you're going to feel it in your legs, and you should be feeling that in your legs when you bench. So that's a little over exaggeration of how it is, but that's kind of, for most people, they underdo the leg drive. So over exaggerating it is actually sometimes helpful because they're underdoing what we should actually be doing.
Right. I felt like something clicked for me when I did dumbbell bench press with a weight that was fairly challenging, that if you could feel the difference when you're just doing dumbbell bench press by totally letting off the gas with your legs or even keeping them off the floor, then you have no push. But when you're using leg drive for the dumbbells, for some reason that clicked more for me. I could feel the difference like immediately.
Yeah, I mean, it probably has to do something with the stability of it because, the dumbbells kind of want to go all over the place. And if your body is moving a little bit underneath the weights, it's a little easier to balance a bar because it's connected from side to side. But a dumbbell, it's going to want to go all over the place. So that's probably a good feedback. That's a good idea. Use that as a feedback mechanism to make sure that you're maintaining leg drive.
Yeah, and the it is somewhat about stability too. I mean, you see some people when you hand them the bar, just in the lift off, sometimes you can see them kind of, they look unstable.
Yeah.
And that's like a cue to tell you, like, I don't think that they're really driving with their legs at that point, because that shouldn't be happening. You shouldn't be almost rocking around at that point.
Yeah. And I think a lot of coaches and more advanced lifters throw that term leg drive around a lot without, and rightly so, but I think there's a lot of misunderstanding and I guess not understanding what that actually means. So I think, taking some time to actually define it is helpful.
Yeah, I agree.
Whether or not that rambling I just did actually helped, I don't know, but that was the intent.
Yeah. So someone should get some nugget of wisdom in that, because there was different ways you described it. So yes. So what else we got, Josh? Anything?
I got to get my taxes done. It's been on my to-do list forever, and I haven't done it yet. I will do it though. So if anybody from the IRS is listening, I will get it done. before the deadline.
For the April 15th deadline, or just file for an extension like I always do.
I used to do that. I used to, like, January 1, I would email my accountant and just be like, go ahead and just file extension.
Right.
But I try to get it done on time now, because it turns out that
you pay interest. Yeah.
Well, that, like, sadly, that's not even my biggest complaint. It's that I wait until the last week of the extension to get it done, and then I'm rushing, and then I only have a couple months before the next year's due. So it's like,
either way, boy.
Yeah. So moral of the story is just do it on time, Josh.
So there was a restaurant I went to this weekend, and instead of calling out, like, you order at the counter, and instead of calling out like your number, hey, number 95, your order's ready, they asked you what your New Year's Eve, your New Year's resolution was. So they would use that as calling out the number instead. So, you know, when I walked in, I heard them call out, hey, order for, I'd like more patience. And then you got to see, like, person that walked up that matched that New Year's resolution. So that was kind of amazing.
So that could go one of two ways. Was it a new doctor that wants more patience, or was it a person that's very impatient that wanted more patience?
Yes. And they were having to wait for food. So it was kind of ironic too.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah. But the funny one was when someone, their New Year's resolution was not to pay $60.47 for damn breakfast anymore.
Yeah, but how would they know? Don't you give the name before you order? So how did they know that
you ordered and then they asked you what it was? So they must have gotten the bill and then said, yeah, I don't want to pay that much money for.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, I guess it depends how many people there were. I mean, if it was one person, that's like a whole lot. Even if there was two people for breakfast, that seems high. I
did notice that there was 4 people for the order but it was a bougie place. It was really good.
What's the definition of bougie?
I don't know. Fancy, a little fancy, a little upscale, slightly.
I mean, I don't know.
No, that's what mine is. I'm not bougie. That restaurant was slightly bougie, because I wouldn't usually pay $12 for breakfast, but man, it was good.
$12 for breakfast? That doesn't seem bad.
Yeah, you're right. It's not that bad. I mean, especially for what it was.
I mean, that actually seems cheap to me. Like, how cheap are you?
Pretty cheap, apparently.
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just here. So let me just recap what just happened here. You went to this bougie place where breakfast cost you $12. How bougie was it?
Well, it wasn't super bougie, because they were calling out your New Year's resolution for picking it up. So I mean, it wasn't like white tablecloth, but their maple kettle fries were so good.
But I mean, I'm in the same boat. Like, I wouldn't necessarily want to pay. Well, I mean, I don't eat out much anymore because I was spending a lot of money on going to lunch and things there for a while. And, you know, it's so much cheaper just to make it at home.
Right. And if you're trying to control your diet at all, eating at home is kind of the way to go.
I mean, if you're trying to control your diet or your budget, like, eating at home is the way to go.
So. Right. And it was funny how many people's resolutions were to spend less money or lose weight. And there they were, spending money and eating basically fried food.
That's the biggest irony to me, is that exactly right there. That's funny. I didn't even think about that, but you're right.
It was pretty funny, especially when, like, people were ordering like orange juice, and it was fresh squeezed orange juice, but each of them was like $6. And they're like, fresh orange juice for spend less money. Like, well, you failed.
Orange juice was $6. So to me, that's crazy.
Right. Well, it's fresh squeezed. It was real orange juice from Florida oranges.
Yeah, but still.
All right. So we've totally rambled and gone off track, but hey.
Yeah. What else is new?
That's how we roll. There you go. What else do you have to say, Josh, about?
Nothing. I'm ready to go eat. Talking about this.
Okay.
This restaurant thing. My New Year's resolution is to not ramble at the end of these podcasts so we can go eat.
Failed already. All right. Well, until next week. Bye now.
Later.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode of the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, please remember to subscribe and share it with your friends.